It's pretty late in the night or very early in the morning. I am sleepy. I will go to sleep after this. You see the title. I'm not playing. Let's get into the scripture. Luke chapter 3, verse 23 says, One day, when the crowds were being baptized by John the Baptist, Joshua or Jesus himself was baptized. As he was praying, the heavens opened, and the Holy Spirit descended on him in the form of a dove. And a voice from heaven said, You are my beloved Son, and I am fully pleased with you. This was said because Jesus was a man, like us. We're children of the Most High God. And just as how the Most High can be pleased with Jesus, he can be pleased with us. We must extend it further. We must go further. And in no way, shape, or form can the Most High be pleased with those people who use deception, who use lies, who use fallacies and untruths to misrepresent the truth. I think what's going on in Palestine and the 75-year-old lie hiding Israel's occupation, illegal occupation of Palestinian settlements, Palestinian cities, brutal apartheid occupation, an invasion and destruction of these places, and the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians from Palestine. I say all of this to say things that other people will not say because they're afraid to say it. I stand on truth. I don't care about what other people think. I stand on truth. And as in BVS, when Senator Finch said, and this is the day for truth, even though she did die, you have to stand on truth. You have to live by it and die by it. I prefer to live or die by truth than live a life where I'm compromised and living a lie. I don't know about you. We're going to talk about, as you see from the title, the coons, that is those people who know better and lie, propagate a lie for an establishment because they get paid for it, and the parrots that echo these coons. Boxing's a corrupt sport, and as such, it's important to understand what's going on. If you look at the photo that I used to introduce this stream tonight, is Teofimo Lopez being congratulated by a representative of Top Rank. Further, this is before Teofimo Lopez gets the decision that he won. At the end of the 11th round, Teofimo Lopez's father whispers in his ear that he's already won the fight, regardless of what's happening. They've already got a decision from the judges. And this is reflected by Steve Weisfeld's scorecard, which is absolutely in no way, shape, or form reflective of the fight that we saw. No matter what your opinion is about the fight, in no way did we think that Teofimo Lopez won a landslide over Jermaine Ortiz. Nobody thinks that. But then they need to have a machinery in place. Teofimo Lopez has his own promotional company. That AA side. Now we have to do a PR campaign, like Israel does a PR campaign. and they use their money and influence to influence people and make them believe that Israel somehow the good guys in this whole slaughter and genocide. Similarly, they're going to now try to paint a picture to you using professionals, using commentators, using people of influence to get you to believe these are the coons, these are the people who know better, but they're going to spin to various degrees the robbery that happened, and it was a robbery, because Jermaine Ortiz is not a big name in boxing. This doesn't come across people. It's not as outrageous, and because people don't really hate Teofimo Lopez like that, it doesn't come across as extremely outrageous to the average person. Oh, Jermaine fought a boring fight, they'll say. He was running. They'll say that, right? They didn't say it for Sando Martin, but they'll say it for Jermaine. Because it's how it works, how the machinery works. So after that happens, now we got people from Pro Box TV. We got Timothy Bradley. They're doing the PR spin. Shout out to the GOAT. Hi. Shout out to the GOAT, whoever you are. Here goes the PR spin. So let's talk about it. Paulie Malignaggi goes as far to say that Ortiz deserved to win today because he's the actual one that actually had a game plan in the fight. And in doing so, Paulie's probably the only one. He says he don't know if he would call it a robbery, but of that clan, he's the only one who, at this point in time, has got close to telling the truth. The other ones, we got Chris Mannix saying Ortiz is stinking out the joint. We got Timothy Bradley saying that Ortiz fought a good game plan. He thought he won, but he didn't do enough. Antonio Tarver said the very same thing. Oh, Ortiz didn't do enough. He had a good game plan, though. See, this is how they try to spin it. It's spin, and you need to see past the spin. We have Chris Algieri. What does Chris Algieri say? Oh, no, it was not a robbery. This fight was not a robbery. Anybody saying it's a robbery, they don't know boxing. These are all people who picked Teofimo Lopez, by the way, to win. I don't know what Teddy Atlas said, so I'll have to wait for that. Zab Judah came out and said Teo definitely won. Mickey Bay. Jermaine didn't take it. The other two cards were fair. But the card with Steve Weisfield, that wasn't fair. I'm saying this to say that if you can cloud the judgment of people, the people who are casual fans, the people who don't know boxing, if you can cloud their mind, if you can give a counter argument to an argument that's put forward, then you got them. And boxing continues to be corrupt. Corruption ends in boxing when people who know better, the professionals, do not behave like coons. Do not behave like coons. I'm going to say it one more time. The sport is not called pressure, pressure, pressure. No matter what, whether it's effective or not. It's not called that. It's not called Rock'em Sock'em Robots. It's not called Smash and Pound. And it ain't for sure called fighting. The sport is called boxing. And for fans to be educated about the sport of boxing, you need to acknowledge when someone is actually outboxing another guy. And all that other stuff that you are saying is irrelevant. You have to beat the champion. He beat the champion. He beat the champion 10 out of 12 rounds. He whitewashed him. Tio took the first round, and I had him one of the middle rounds. I didn't even give him 10 and 11. I didn't give him 11 and 12. I didn't give him any of those. None of them. You know why? I didn't give him those rounds because you have to excuse me for a second. I didn't give him those rounds because he didn't do anything. I believe in the 12th round, he landed a right hand that Ortiz partially blocked. He landed nothing. Ortiz was landing jabs. Ortiz was moving. Yes, he was moving. But he was landing jabs. He was landing left hands to the body. He walked Tio into left hands. You're walking a guy into left hands? Okay. Another narrative that came out there. And I'm going to talk about the echoers now. Came from Intangible Boxing. Intangible Boxing says that their styles neutralized each other, and because of that, you got a shit fight. And the puncher couldn't apply pressure and cut off the ring, and the mover was too conservative with his output to capitalize completely. Ortiz didn't fight a good enough fight to win a decision. This is his opinion. Now, the thing about this is this. One, Ortiz was the smaller guy he was the guy coming up in weight. And clearly, if you didn't pay attention, Ortiz didn't have the power to knock out Teofimo Lopez or even knock him down. So he was boxing him. Okay? And when you are boxing a guy, if you even know boxing, you will know you have to pick your spots. And he did an excellent job of that. And he countered, and he led, and he controlled the fight. Quite frankly, he controlled the fight. And Ortiz is not the bigger, stronger guy in this fight. Tio was the bigger, stronger guy in this fight, and more acclimatized. So the fight Ortiz fought was a perfect fight. Could he have done more in certain spots? As in boxing, you can always do more, but he did enough, more than enough to win the fight. Because Ortiz won most of the fight. He won most of the rounds. Ask yourself this question. What did Teofimo do besides coming forward? And mind you, Ortiz also turned the tables on Tio and was beating him up at certain points. He was pressuring him at certain points. He would let Tio overcommit, overextend, and then he would flip the tables on him, turn him towards the ropes, and do his thing. Was it an action-packed fight? As in typical action-packed fight where guys just throw hands? No. If that's what you were looking for, sorry to disappoint you. It was a tactical fight in which Ortiz was winning that tactical fight because he had a better game plan, because he had better skills, and because he was just out punching Teofimo Lopez. Whatever punch stats they were ESPN had, and almost everything ESPN was doing there was false. Their punch stats are shit. I'm being honest with you. Their punch stats said that Teofimo Lopez landed more body shots than Virgil Ortiz. That's absolutely false. Virgil Ortiz, you just go watch the fight, outlanded Teofimo Lopez way more times than Teofimo Lopez even landed on him. And not only did he outland him to the body, he also outlanded him to the head. He was landing that jab to the head. Teofimo Lopez had one double right hand to the body and head, and that hit Virgil Ortiz to his head in I believe it was the 11th round. Virgil Ortiz finished the 11th round, landing several body shots to Teofimo Lopez and headshots in close. Because Teofimo Lopez, guess what? He can't fight on the inside. He can only fight at mid-range. He is a limited fighter like Lomachenko. Now, people are saying Teofimo Lopez, he can't fight off the front foot. That's nonsense. In fact, Teofimo Lopez is most effective when he's fighting off the front foot. Fought against Lomachenko. How do you think he controlled Lomachenko? It's on the front foot. When he went in the back foot, that's when Lomachenko had his field day with him. Teofimo Lopez does better pushing guys back. The problem's not that. The problem is that Teofimo Lopez cannot handle a guy that turns him. Pivoting. Having to pivot this way and then that way and then this way and then that way. He has to reset because he's a flat-footed fighter. You understand? It's not about, oh, he can't fight off the front foot. Of course he can't fight off the front foot. But you have to cooperate with him by staying in front of him. That's when he can set his traps. That's when he can get into range. That's when he can use his explosiveness. That's when he can really land punches. Very much like Vasily Lomachenko had difficulty against Devin Haney, like Manny Pacquiao had difficulty against Floyd Mayweather. If you don't stand directly in front of him once you're within range, and you turn him once he gets within range, he's nullified. It's that simple. Now, with respect to Jay Beasy, he echoes the sentiments of ESPN, Timothy Bradley. Even though he has a scorecard 114-14, he says they didn't impress him. I was totally impressed by Jermaine Ortiz's adaptation and a different style I've seen of Jermaine Ortiz, showing his versatility, so I was highly impressed. I don't know about Jay Beasy. Again, these guys talk, but they really don't know boxing, so they just talk. Jay Beasy, echoing their sentiment, says, Teo can't fight on his front foot at all, which I just debunked. I laughed at that. It's funny. So, it's Teo couldn't keep up with Ortiz. That's what happened. And the very nuanced and complex foot movement that Ortiz was putting forward. Okay? Beautiful footwork. Beautiful. So Teo didn't know which way to go because Ortiz could change direction on the drop of a dime and move whichever way he wanted to. Reset in the center of the ring and fight in the center of the ring. Ortiz was having a field day because, as I told you before, boxing's all about footwork, your foundation. Something that Teo is only as good as when somebody's standing in front of him. That's why Kambosos beat him. Coach Calvin surprised me. He said, Ortiz had a good game plan, but not good enough for the judges. And I laughed. Where are all these cockroaches coming from? I don't usually have cockroaches in my house, and now they're moving around all of a sudden. Okay. I'm going to handle y'all in a second. Coach Calvin said that. Thing about it is, ladies and gentlemen, nothing Jermaine Ortiz would have done for the judges would have been good enough. And here's why. We saw Steve Weisfield's scorecard. That judge made up his mind. 117-111. Basically, Steve Weisfield is saying that Teofimo Lopez dominated the fight. Why? Because he was the aggressor? Steve Weisfield is a much better judge than that, much more experienced than that. No, he was on the take. The fix was in. That's a fixed fight. The other two judges tried to make it look like it was close. But Steve Weisfield let the cat out of the bag. Teo's going to win this fight unless he got stopped, as Jermaine Ortiz told y'all. Another echoer of these coons, guys paid on the take to say X, Y, and Z. And these are popular, supposedly popular channels. Chris Mannix, he's a coon. These guys are paid to play. He said Ortiz was stinking out the joint. So people who actually box now are stinking out joints. And it's Ortiz that's stinking it out. It's not Tio. Tio's not stinking it out because he's trying to make the fight. Except he can't hit nothing. Coons. People who echo they're supposed to disseminate propaganda. Make you believe boxing's all about rock'em sock'em robots. And that's not what boxing's about. And this is the problem with boxing. People who will come out and defend a robbery, a poor decision. Nobody's interested in boxing because a person can box really well or fight really well. And guess what? These coon-ass clowns will validate a robbery. People get robbed and these people will validate it. But when it's not a robbery, because they either hate the fighter that's fighting or they love the fighter who lost, they confirm and they affirm what the mainstream wants you to affirm. Not what your two eyes are seeing. No, what the mainstream and is directed to commentators and so on to affirm. And people say, well, it's all about the money. It's about the money. No. If it's about the money and you're really serious about the money, then you will want more boxing fans. And you will want more people literate in boxing. When a casual fan is saying, I don't understand what happened there. How is it that this guy won? I saw this other guy beat him. And you can't explain that to them. Why would they want to watch a sport like that? Why would they be interested? Follow what money? Follow what money? The problem with boxing is greedy people who are not willing to allow the truth and justice to happen. So stagnating the sport because it's corrupt. Boxing will never get to the point where it's like the NFL, or will never get to the point where it's like NBA basketball anymore. Why? Because mainstream people need to have consistency. You need to have consistency in refereeing. You need to have consistency in judging. When it's a sport they can follow and they can understand and they can start to learn, and you hear them. I've seen it over the last couple of years where people actually start talking and make sense when they talk about boxing. So the literacy has gone somewhere. Channels like myself and other channels that actually teach boxing and actually talk about boxing in a sensible way have helped with that literacy. But there are many times when the literacy of boxing is clouded by atrocious judging. Atrocious judging that hurts the sport. It does. You can have an exciting, great fight and then a terrible decision at the end. And everyone's left scratching their heads. How did the judges even come to that decision? Hurts the sport. It doesn't happen as often in basketball. It doesn't happen as often because, well, there's a major reason why I would say that. It's because major fights or major basketball matches or whatever, major basketball competitions have multiple matches, first of all. Second of all, whether it's football or baseball, teams lose and it happens. But in boxing, you're talking about one event. The boxer, it can make or break a boxer. A boxer can end up getting more fights because of one fight. And when you steal that opportunity from that boxer, Jack Catterall versus Josh Taylor. And Josh Taylor never rematched Jack Catterall, by the way. Jack Catterall was robbed of that was a robbery. It was a straight up robbery against Jack Catterall. Hurt the sport of boxing. Okay? A lot of people think that Teofimo Lopez lost to Sandor Martin because Sandor Martin unofficially dropped him twice. Even though I believe Teofimo Lopez won that fight. He is actually landing double right hands and landing right hands to the body and head against Sandor Martin later down the stretch. He wasn't doing that in the case with Jermaine Ortiz. He wasn't. He wasn't landing anything, much of anything. He wasn't. How can I give a guy a fight because he pressured another guy? That's it? He's not effective with his pressure. The other guy's counterpunching him. The other guy is much more accurate than him. I don't even know how they got Jermaine Ortiz having less accuracy in his connect percentage. All of these things make no sense to me. I don't know what ESPN was watching. Because Teofimo Lopez was landing phantom punches, I guess. He's falling short. Jermaine Ortiz fought the great game plan where he used range and distance to take away Teofimo Lopez's range and distance. It's just what it is. I'm telling you what the fight was. How can I tell you what the fight was if I don't know what I was seeing? Teo could not close range. He tried all kinds of things, but he couldn't. That's why he lost. And he lost comprehensively. Round after round. That's why he was frustrated. That's why he told the guy to come to him. So now I'm going to read the channels that actually got this right. Coach Anthony, Ortiz won that fight. Outboxed Teo. You don't know shit about boxing if you're saying Ortiz was running. It was a robbery. Coach Anthony knows boxing. Paulie Malignaggi is being disingenuous by saying it's not a robbery and not crying foul. It was a robbery, but it's just not in Paulie's interest to say that. But he gets as strong as they can possibly be politically by saying, I don't know if I can call it a robbery. It was a robbery. But Ortiz, if anybody deserved the win, Ortiz deserved the win. Paulie at least was honest enough to say that. Because it wasn't a close fight. Teo wasn't doing shit. And even Paulie mentioned that. Everything Boxing, ETB, said Ortiz outboxed Teofimo Lopez. I totally agree. Money Brown TV also agreed with him, saying Ortiz outboxed Teofimo Lopez. YSM Sports Media thought it was a robbery. Bozy Innes thought that Ortiz won. Shakur Stevens said Teo is losing this fight while watching the fight. Alicia Baumgartner says Jermaine is doing what he wants to do in that ring while she was watching the fight. Regis Progre, aka Rougarou, he said Teo frustrated, but I definitely don't think he's losing the fight. Rougarou is out of his damn mind. Zab Judah thought that Teo won. Forget Tarver. Nestor Gibbs of the Boxing Voice said Jermaine Ortiz won. Jermaine Ortiz won. Lopez won very few rounds. He scored the fight. He said Bradley is a terrible commentator, as Joe Testator should be fired from ESPN. And as Bradley's awful. Blue Blood Sports TV said Teo has trouble with boxers that move. Yes, he does. But elite boxers that move. It's not just any boxer. Daunting's Boxing Nation called it a robbery, as Aki Sports TV did as well. Terrence Crawford had a mouthful for Teofimo Lopez, but one of the things he definitively said was Ortiz definitively beat Teofimo Lopez. Why, oh why, is it that we can't watch with our eyes? If a casual is watching this fight and thinking that Jermaine Ortiz won, who was it that said that? Some casual was watching a fight, it was a lady, with one of those boxers, I can't remember which one it was. And when she hears that Teofimo Lopez won and saw the reaction of the I guess her boyfriend or whatever, she was like, wait, hold on a second. He won? How does he explain to her that boxing's corrupt and that the wrong guy won? How does he explain that? And by the way, once again, that fight was a robbery. Okay? I watched the final rounds to see if Jermaine Ortiz was fading or anything. He wasn't fading. Tio tried to intensify his attack, threw a lot more punches, missed a whole bunch of punches, and then Jermaine would hit him with a jab or a right hand or with a left, a double left. But again, Jermaine is not as powerful, so the punches obviously are not having the kind of effect on Tio that if Tio was to connect with Ortiz, would have the effect on him. Okay, because again, you're talking about a guy that moves up to 140 to fight the champion of 140. He's not acclimatized to the weight yet. Box a great fight. So for someone to down Jermaine Ortiz or down his performance, considering that he moved up in weight, he's fighting one of the best fighters at 140 without being acclimatized, you lost your damn mind. And he's not known as a power puncher. He's not known as a guy that stops people. Okay? You lost your damn mind. He did a great job. Great job, Jermaine Ortiz. Do I see flaws? With any boxer, I see flaws in their fighting and how they can improve. But do I think that he more than did enough to win? Absolutely. 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 So I don't know anyone saying otherwise. I don't understand why you would be saying that. You either have an agenda, that's why you're talking that way, and you want to be politically correct, or you don't know shit about boxing. Let's go to another topic that I want to talk about, which is Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. That fight is now official. I believe it's April the 20th. That fight will come around the corner. And the guys have already started going at each other in Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Ryan pushed Devin. And they're already starting to spice it up. So I'm really happy. This is the way our promotion is. I'm glad that Ryan took the fight. I'm glad that he pushed Devin. I like this stuff. This is good. It's going to be an interesting fight because the guys have history. Devin has won 3 fights. Ryan has won 3 fights. So, yeah, love to see what the tiebreaker looks like. All right. I don't think Ryan's ready for Devin, but who knows? Maybe he does something in the fight that, but I know it's going to be spicy leading up to it. And we'll see what Derek James can bring to the table to make Ryan's game better. The only problem with Ryan is instinctively, even when he pushed Devin and they were coming at him, even though he came by himself, he came by himself to approach Devin. Instinctively, he still dips down to the side underneath shots. He kind of cowers. That's not necessarily a good thing, Ryan. And it seems as though it's something you've been doing your whole life. So that's not something that's going to go away anytime soon, and that's a problem. Turned your back on Devin when he was attacking you, so that's not good. You got to be careful about that because, yeah. But I like the energy. I like the energy so far, and I hope they can keep it up. And that'll create some interest for the fight. So that's what I've got so far. I am what you need. I thought I'd talk about those 2 fights. Obviously, the Tyson Fury Alexander Usyk fight is off at the present moment. It's been rescheduled, but we'll see how that goes. With respect to Bivol and Beterbiev, that fight is now official. I heard that fight is now official. So that fight, there's actually a date for it. Looking forward to that fight as well. I believe it's going to be in Saudi Arabia. So kudos to the Saudi Arabians for putting on more fights in Saudi Arabia. That's great. That's great. Um, Again, it's just about keeping the record straight, and this is what you need is here for. I know there are a lot of haters that come to my channel, people from the industry and otherwise. I really couldn't care less who you are. I'm here to tell the truth, and I'm going to tell the truth. And I know a lot of people have respect for WattUNeed because he tells the truth and because he knows what he's saying. So, on that note, I'm going to catch you guys later. I'm WattUNeed. I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully you guys have a good one. Peace to everybody. And stay safe. In my country, Carnival has begun. This is the Carnival weekend. Tonight was the beginning of Carnival. So for the next couple of days, I'll be grinding to generate more funds for that. So you may see me or you may not see me, right? I'll still try to do more streams, but the sponsorship for here has slowed down over the last, I believe, month or so. People still donate money to this account and to this channel, which, by the way, the PayPal link is in the description. But still, at the same time, even though they have been donating, it has slowed down. So if you do want to donate to this channel to keep this channel going, let's do that. But if you don't, and you want to see this channel eliminated, fair game. The only thing is, I'm not going to come back here. I remember there was another channel on here that was doing great stuff as well. And then the guy was making all these great videos and stuff, and nobody was putting money into his channel at the time. And I was like, I was bewildered because the guy was getting a lot of views, but nobody would donate to his channel, even though he said, so he had to close down. Now, I know some of you haters would love to see WattUNeed close down because he exposes everything. He exposes the hypocrisy of the business. He exposes the illusion of certain fighters. Subriel Mateus, he's easy work. He's easy work. Y'all don't like that because y'all want to go with the hype and stuff. And WattUNeed just destroyed by saying that dude's easy work. Teofimo Lopez beats Subriel Mateus. Why? Subriel Mateus is not a guy that moves around the ring. He's not a guy that uses different angles. He comes straight at you. That's a guy Teofimo Lopez can knock out. That's a guy Teofimo Lopez can beat. Right? So all the hype about Subriel Mateus because he killed Dadashev and because he beat up bad one of the Mayweather promotion fighters, that don't mean nothing. That's a great reputation. But if you know boxing, you know that dude, he one-dimensionally get hit too much. Somebody with good cardio, good boxing ability, and also a strong will to win, outboxes him easy. He's target practice. It's like a moving punching bag. Because he ain't never gonna punch you. You're not gonna get touched for 12 rounds. You touch him, or you be doing all the touching up. Too many special effects for the top fighters, man. I would love to see Richardson Hitchens get the IBF title by facing Subriel Mateus. But Liam Parrots gets first dibs, and he's a boxer. Very competent, good fighter. So he might get first dibs, and he might cause the upset. Because Liam Parrots, he been upsetting a lot of people lately. I don't know if he can withstand Subriel Mateus' pressure. I don't see why he can't. He has all the fundamentals of boxing there. He likes to engage a lot, though. So we'll see. I don't know. But I do know Richardson Hitchens he would tear up Subriel Mateus. I don't care. The more will Subriel Mateus has, the more punishment he will take. Because it would be all about punishment and dishing it out. And a guy who I believe would stop him is Antoine Russell Jr. I would love to see Antoine Russell Jr. versus Super Mateus as well. But Tio would beat him up. He'd beat up Super Mateus. Tio beats up Super Mateus. I think a lot of people beat up Super Mateus. Elite fighters, that is. You got Jack Catterall, Sandor Martin would outbox him. You have Devin Haney. You have Teofimo Lopez. I don't know for Rolly Romero. I think Rolly showed us he could box a little bit, so I'm not sure exactly how, though, that fight would go. That's an interesting fight. Romero versus Mateus. I don't know how Isaac Cruz would do against Mateus either. That's an interesting fight. Those are interesting style clashes. Because Subriel Mateus is able to use his strength, his boxing IQ that he has. He has some boxing IQ, but his strength mostly, and his positioning, his combinations, everything. So that'd be interesting. But, the thing with Isaac Cruz is he's so short, he could get underneath your punches. So I'm not quite sure how that will work out. That's an interesting fight. Yeah, Subriel Mateus, again, I'm probably bursting a lot of people's bubbles, but I don't care. The truth is, Subriel Mateus, he's good for what he does. If he can play to his strengths, absolutely he can be a terror. But you go in there with a guy who's strong, he can take a punch and throws bombs, but he's straightforward, no special effects. If you got a lot of special effects, use them. And he becomes child's play. That's food. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. Now, with respect to... Oh, let me just give you another set of 140-pounders that would beat him. Regis Prograis would probably beat Subriel Mateus. It's another guy. Regis Prograis, if he hits you, you're going to go down. If Regis hits you, you're going to go down. It's just what it is. Doesn't matter how tough Subriel is. If Regis cracks him, he's going down. And Regis is explosive. He's powerful. And it would be a very interesting fight in which I think Regis would come out the winner. He might just stop Subriel Mateus because Mateus take a lot of punishment. I could see Regis breaking him down, beating him up, and probably getting him out of there. I mean, he didn't get Josh Taylor out of there, so you never know. Subriel Mateus might be tough enough to withstand that. But obviously, Regis would outpoint him. After all is said and done. Anyway, 42 minutes in. What you need. I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace. Y'all have a blessed night.